Here with head coach Tom Griffin, I'm Michael Watring on seeandeagles.com. The Eagles get set for Newberry this weekend. And coach, I think baseball's so much different than any other sport. You can be playing good baseball, but you can be losing games. You've lost 4 in a row. I think the offense has kind of started to get its thing going, but the pitching at times has struggled here of late.
You're right, and that's what we're trying to figure out. Our pitching and defense had been a strength, and our offense had been something that had been lagging behind. The offense has really, I feel, gotten into a pretty good groove, but our pitching, location, falling behind early, and obviously like last night, our defense, which hadn't happened all year, and at times has not been where it needs to be. And that's the thing is when are we've got to be able to put all facets together. So I'm encouraged by the offense, the pitching. We know we're looking through previous games, and some of the starting pitcher and relievers have had success. It's again, it goes back to adversity and mental, and trying to overcome, the feeling like, oh, here we go again. If you're a pitcher, like our hitters did earlier. So that's what we're working on, and that's what we come out every day and battle and talk about. And like I told you last night, it's adversity, but these are lessons that are learned. We tell kids, we're going to learn a lot about baseball. We're learning more about life than anything else, and that's what we got to do. Listen, the guys were disappointed last night. They're disappointed with this month because we had set some goals this month. But they're going to come and play hard here. We've said that before. They'll keep practicing hard. They'll keep doing the right things on and off the field, and it'll get right.
It's kind of ironic that you're having the issues with the pitching staff because you have a lot of depth there, whereas hitting-wise, you're really down to the skin and bones with what you're doing hitting-wise. Are you satisfied with how the hitters have responded with all these injuries?
Well, I am, and that's the tough part is we don't have any depth right now due to injuries that have happened and guys that are out. So I am encouraged by that. And in the pitching depth, we do, and a lot of them are upperclassmen. So you want them to do well because some of those guys that are seniors, you want them to go out on a good note and not be wondering. They're counting down the days, not to get it over with, but they realize their baseball career is coming to an end. And it gets a little sad, and sometimes you press because you want it to be your best outing, and because they're getting fewer and fewer, and I think that plays on it as well. But it's not that anything other clubs aren't going through as well. We just have to do a better job of it.
The Eagles are 8th currently in the South Atlantic Conference, but Coach, if you pull off maybe a sweep this weekend, you'll have the 4th most wins in the conference. Despite all that you've gone through, does it feel pretty good knowing that you potentially could control your own destiny?
Feels good to have a chance, doesn't it? And no doubt, Michael. Last year we went through a stretch, and we ended up getting to the conference tournament final. 1 game from going to a regional. This team has been through some adversity. So we're experienced in it. We know what we have to do, and again, we worry about 1 pitch at a time and take care of the first game. Newberry coming in, Coach Triplett is outstanding young coach. He is very good. He has good DNA for coaching background, played for one of the top coaches in the country. I love what he does. I like the way his team plays. I think we're similar in style. He's got a good offense. I think he's well-rounded, offensively, defensively, pitch. I think it's a well-rounded group. So it's going to be a challenge, and then the next 2 series are going to be even equally challenged. So, if you're going to face adversity, God's put something in front of us that most people will say, boy, the way you're going, it ain't going to happen. But we don't look at it that way. We look at this challenge as a gift.
Playing at Smokies Park last night, you see the minor league teams and major league teams. Of course, they play every single day. Yeah. You guys get these off days sprinkled in, and in a rut like this. How do you handle the practices in between, knowing that you need to come out this weekend with a different sense?
Well, that's a great question, and I'll tell you what, Michael. I think the way you play is the way you practice, and I sometimes that hasn't happened. We practice very well. Our guys get after it. We pay attention to the little things, the details. We focus on maybe mistakes we made in the games, and we talk about it, work on it. It's still the fundamentals. You still work on some of the fundamentals. Sometimes you pull back a little bit in practice, especially getting later in the year, because of the bodies need to recuperate a little bit more. So you got to kind of get a feel for your players. You have to talk to them and get a feel of where they're at mentally and physically, and kind of work your practices around that. The bottom line is to keep getting your reps in. keep talking about the positive things that are going on, work on the things that you need to work on. We'll always do that. I think work ethic is something we want to instill in these kids as well as discipline, and they understand that work ethic will pay off. Yeah, I think it's amazing when you see, Major League players playing every day. Mm-hmm. Boy, what a grind. These guys do 2 days in a row, and their bodies are sore, and they're the same guys that will complain about a hitter not running it out after 140 games. But that is such a grind, and I think our guys realize that guys who play pro ball, it's not easy. It's more mental and physical than it is anything else. Yeah.
Baseball, of course, a game of player meetings, and you have superstitions and whatever else like that. How have you maybe changed the way that you've approached pregame, how you've changed the way that you've practiced, how the way that you've changed maybe that you've handled guys since day one or even since the beginning of March?
Good question. I think earlier in my coaching career, you always looked for the superstition, change what shoes you're wearing to practice, what color top you're wearing for games. Speaking with Coach Sparks about a year ago, we talked about superstitions, and he gave me some insight that has helped me quite a bit. And there will always be a part of the game in baseball and all sports, but I've gotten away from that and just taking care of our players and listening to them more. That was the one thing he talked about, is listen to your players versus trying to find some magic trick to make a win or something. And also the fact that this is in God's hands. And until you truly put it in his hands and understand who's in control and who's driving the car, superstitions really don't matter. And I know it's part of the game when you talk about it, but God doesn't deal with superstitions. So we don't talk about it much. We ask them what color tops the players want to wear. Sometimes they may say, well, we played well in this. But as a coach and as a father and as a person, I don't look at superstitions the way I used to with that talk with Coach Sparks and understanding that this is truly in somebody else's hand. And there's a purpose behind it, and I trust that purpose.
Thank you for your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you.
The Eagles will play Saturday a doubleheader against Newberry beginning at 1, and then Sunday another 1 o'clock pitch to conclude that 3-game series. For head coach Tom Griffin, I'm Michael Watchring here on SeeingEagles.com.